Now, the United States and its European allies are importing vast amounts of nuclear fuel and compounds from Russia. It is providing Moscow hundreds of millions of dollars in badly needed revenue as it wages war on Ukraine, a key ally of the West. Now, the sales, which are legal and unsanctioned, have raised alarms from non-proliferation experts and elected officials as well. They say that the imports are helping bankroll the development of Moscow's nuclear arsenal and complicating efforts to curtail Russia's war-making abilities. The dependence on Russian nuclear products, used mostly to fuel civilian reactors, leaves the US and its allies open to energy shortages if Putin were to cut off supplies. Now, the challenge is likely to grow more intense as those nations seek to boost production of emissions-free electricity to combat climate change. The West has been reluctant to target Russia's nuclear exports because they play a key role in keeping reactors humming. Now, Russia supplied the US nuclear industry with about 12% of its uranium last year. Europe reportedly getting about 17% of its uranium in 2022 from Russia. Now, many of the 30 countries generating nuclear energy are importing radioactive materials from Russia's state-owned energy corporation, Rosatom, and its subsidiaries. Rosatom leads the world in uranium enrichment production. Ukrainian officials have pleaded with world leaders to sanction Rosatom to cut off one of Moscow's last significant funding streams. The value of Russian nuclear fuel and products sent to the US hit $871 million last year, up from $689 million in 2021 and $610 million in 2020. Europe is in a bind largely because it has 19 Russian-designed reactors in 5 countries that are fully dependent on Russian nuclear fuel. Europe spent nearly $828 million last year on Russian nuclear industry products, including fuel elements, nuclear reactors, and machinery. Now, to understand this complexity further, we earlier spoke to Andreas Umland. He is an analyst at the Stockholm Center for Eastern European Studies at the Swedish Institute of International Affairs.
This is, I think, a legacy of basically 30 years of, I would say, misdevelopment of, in general, energy affairs in especially Europe, but also partly North America, where there is still a certain dependence on Russia. We had a large discussion similar to the one currently about nuclear fuel, about gas imports last year in Germany. And Germany was, for the first months after the start of Russia's large-scale invasion, still importing large amounts of Russian gas. And the argument there was by the German government, if we stop doing that, we will crush basically the German economy. And then when the German economy will be crushed and we will have social and economic and perhaps even political problems, we will not be able to help Ukraine in its war against Russia. So this is a very odd situation now repeating itself with the nuclear fuel. As long, I think, as these countries like the US, like, let's say, France, which have these dependencies still, are supporting Ukraine, I think Ukrainians sort of look at it with some tolerance. But in general, this is, of course, a very odd situation. And it's strange that this has not changed to a sufficient degree in the last 1.5 years.